I want you to close your eyes for a second. Imagine you are sitting in the cockpit of a commercial airliner. You're at 30,000 feet, cruising speed, clouds below you. You are the pilot. But there's this massive, terrifying problem.
Okay.
You have never actually been taught how to read the instrument panel.
That is the stuff of nightmares.
It gets worse. The altimeter is spinning, red lights are blinking, the fuel gauges are just going wild, and you're just sitting there tapping a gauge, trusting your gut, and hoping you don't hit a mountain.
I think I'd be reaching for the parachute right about now.
Right. But here's the thing. According to this massive stack of research we're diving into today, that is exactly how a huge chunk of the global population is navigating their lives.
They're flying blind through their finances.
And unfortunately, there are no parachutes.
Not for this, no.
Exactly.
Hmm.
We make high-stakes financial decisions every single day, from, buying a latte to signing a 30-year mortgage. But the data shows that financial literacy isn't just a little bit low. It is shockingly, dangerously low.
And we aren't just talking about people having a slightly smaller retirement fund.
No, not at all.
No, the stakes are so much higher. We're talking about chronic physical illness, mental health spirals, and billions, literally billions of dollars bleeding out of the economy because of, well, simple ignorance.
So welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is to unpack the high cost of not knowing. We're going to look at the mechanism of this ignorance, the specific price tag on it, and the psychological toll it takes on us.
We have a really comprehensive set of sources to guide us to. We're pulling data from the Joint SDG Fund, the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's 2024 annual report.
We'll just call that the CFPB.
Right, the CFTB. Plus some heavy-hitting academic papers by Lusardi and Mitchell, and global data from the OECD.
Let's start with just the scope of the problem, because when I saw the global numbers in this research, I honestly thought there was a typo.
You're referring to the Standard & Poor's survey.
Right. They found that only 33% of adults worldwide are financially literate.
33%.
That means 2 out of every 3 adults you pass on the street cannot answer basic questions about money.
And the geographic disparity is really stark. I mean, you look at countries like Sweden, Norway, or Germany, their literacy rates are quite high, upwards of 65%.
Which is still not great, by the way.
Not at all. But then you look at South Asia, for example, and it drops to below 25%.
So let's unpack this. When we say financial literacy, what are we actually measuring? Are we talking about understanding complex tax shelters or knowing how to short a stock? Because I barely understand those things.
No, and that's the scary part. It's so much more fundamental. Researchers usually test this using what they call the Big Three questions. It's a standard metric used globally to see if someone has the absolute basics down.
The Big Three. Okay, I want to run through these. And for everyone listening, try to answer these in your head as we go. No cheating.
All right, let's do it. The first one measures numeracy and the concept of compound interest.
Lay it on us.
Suppose you have $100 in a savings account, and the interest rate is 2% per year. After 5 years, how much do you have in the account if you leave the money to grow? Is it here? More than $102, exactly $102, or less than $102?
Okay, so that's compound interest. You earn interest on the 100, then you earn interest on that interest. It snowballs, so it has to be more than $102.
Correct. And while that seems obvious to you, a surprising number of people really struggle with that idea that money grows on top of money.
All right, question 2.
This one is about inflation. Imagine that the interest rate on your savings account is 1% a year and inflation is 2% a year. After 1 year with the money in this account, would you be able to buy more than today, the same as today, or less than today?
This is the one that really hits home right now. If inflation is 2% and I'm only earning 1%, my money is losing value. I'm swimming upstream but drifting back, so I can buy less.
Spot on. Your purchasing power has eroded.
Okay, bring on the third one. I'm 2 for 2.
This is the widowmaker. This is the question that trips up the most people globally. It's about risk diversification.
Yeah.
True or false? Buying a single company's stock usually provides a safer return than a stock mutual fund.
That feels like a trap, but it's not. It's false. If I buy one company, let's say Host Speaker's coffee shop, and the shop burns down, I lose everything.
Right.
If I buy a mutual fund, I own a tiny piece of 1,000 coffee shops. If one burns down, I'm still okay.
Precisely. You understand the concept of not putting all your eggs in one basket. But in the data, risk diversification is the concept people struggle with the most. They often think, if I pick the winning stock, that's safer than being average.
Which is a perfect segue to a fascinating disconnect in the data, the gap between what we know and what we think we know.
Ah, yes, the overconfidence trap.
I was reading the Lusardi and Mitchell paper, and they cite a U.S. study where, something like 70% of people gave themselves a high score on financial knowledge. They rated themselves a 4 out of 7 or higher. They felt like, yeah, I got this.
But the test results told a very different story.
A very different story. When they were actually tested, only 30% could answer those big 3 questions correctly.
That is a massive gap.
Yeah.
And it creates such a dangerous blind spot. You have people who are confident enough to make complex decisions.
Like taking out a variable rate loan or getting into options trading.
Exactly. But they lack the actual skills to execute them safely.
And there's a really interesting gender dynamic here, too. The data usually shows men scoring higher than women on these tests, but you pointed out a nuance in the research that kind of flips that on its head.
It's a critical nuance. When researchers look at the wrong answers, there's a distinct pattern. When women aren't sure of the answer, they're statistically much more likely to select, I don't know.
They admit the gap.
Exactly. Men, on the other hand, when they aren't sure, they guess.
So the men might just be getting it right by luck, or they're just confidently wrong.
Precisely. And in the real world, knowing that you don't know is a form of literacy itself. It's actually a superpower.
How so?
Well, if you know you don't understand a mortgage contract, you might hire a lawyer or ask a deeper question. If you think you understand it because you're overconfident, you just sign it. That confident ignorance we often see in men can actually lead to much riskier financial behavior.
That makes total sense. It's the pilot who refuses to look at the manual because he thinks he knows the plane.
And that pilot usually crashes.
Okay, so we've established that we aren't as smart as we think we are, but let's get to the so what factor. Why does this matter? If I can't calculate compound interest in my head, does it really hurt me?
It hurts you where it matters most, your wallet. The Joint SDG Fund highlighted a report, I think it was from the International Federation of Accountants. They estimated that a lack of financial literacy cost Americans about $436 billion.
Wait, pause. $436 billion.
In 1 year. During the pandemic alone.
That's an astronomical number. That's not just loose change found in the couch cushions. Where is that money actually going?
It's bleeding out in fees, bad interest rates, poor planning. Let's just look at debt and mortgages. There's a study cited by the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis that looked at subprime mortgage holders.
The people who really got crunched during the housing crisis.
Exactly. And they found a direct predictive link to math skills. They measured numerical ability. Those in the highest numerical ability group had a 20 percentage point lower probability of defaulting compared to the lowest group.
20%. That's a staggering difference.
It is. It's the difference between keeping your house and foreclosure. Because if you have a numerical ability, you understand exactly what happens when your rate adjusts. You anticipate it, you refinance early, or you don't take the loan in the first place.
But if you don't get the math...
You just sign the paper and hope for the best.
Oh. It almost feels like the financial industry is designed to harvest this ignorance. I'm looking at the credit card data here, and it makes my blood boil a little bit.
Oh, the credit card stats are infuriating. The research shows that less knowledgeable cardholders pay 50% higher fees than the average person.
50% higher.
And here's the stat that really sticks with you. While these less knowledgeable folks make up only 29% of all cardholders, they account for 42% of all fee-inducing charges.
So essentially, the banks are making a huge chunk of their profit off the people who understand the system the least. The people who are likely struggling the most are subsidizing the rewards points for the people who know how to play the game.
That is the harsh reality. It's a tax on ignorance. And it extends to investing, too.
Oh, the investing part. We have to talk about the beating the market obsession.
Yes. U.S. investors lose about $100 billion annually trying to beat the market with active trading.
Because they think they can outsmart the system.
Right. They don't understand that passive indexing, just buying the whole haystack instead of looking for the needle, is usually mathematically superior. So they churn their accounts, pay high fees, and buy high and sell low.
There was a Swedish study that put a specific number on this loss.
They did. They found the median investor lost nearly 3% of their annual return just due to underdiversification. But for the bottom 10%, the least literate investors, that loss was equal to 4.5% of their disposable income.
Imagine taking a 5% pay cut every single year just because you didn't understand how to build a portfolio.
That's the reality for millions. It's the high cost of trying to be clever without having the basics down.
I want to pivot to the next generation because you'd think, with the internet, with all this information at our fingertips, the kids would be all right. They have Wikipedia, they have YouTube.
The digital native fallacy. We just assume access to information equals knowledge.
But the sources paint a pretty grim picture of the youth situation.
It is concerning. The PISA's 2022 study found that 1 in 5 students lack basic financial skills. We're talking about not being able to create a simple budget or understand an invoice.
And a Greenlight study showed 74% of teens lack confidence in their financial education.
Which is a problem because they are operating in a financial landscape that is infinitely more complex than what our parents dealt with.
Oh, completely. 30 years ago, you had a checking account, maybe a savings bond from grandma, and cash. Now, teens are navigating crypto wallets, buy now, pay later schemes that pop up on every checkout screen, peer-to-peer payment apps.
The friction of spending is gone. You don't hand over physical cash anymore, you just double-click your phone.
It feels like a game. And because they aren't getting this education in schools, which we'll get to, they're turning to the only source they trust.
To influencers.
Influencers.
Right. 79% of young Americans between 18 and 41 get financial advice from social media.
Now, to be fair, I like that it breaks the taboos. Talking about money is good. My parents never talked about money.
Talking is good, but the quality control is non-existent. Much of that advice is unlicensed, it's inaccurate, or it's purely marketing-driven. You have 19-year-olds giving advice on complex tax strategies or pumping a crypto coin that crashes a week later.
It's entertainment masquerading as education.
That's a perfect way to put it.
So what does the CFPB say we should be doing? Because they have a whole framework for this, and it's surprisingly deep.
It is. They break youth financial capability down into 3 building blocks. And the first one isn't even about money.
It's executive function.
Right. Planning. Impulse control. It's the classic marshmallow test. Can you wait for 2 marshmallows later, or do you eat the one in front of you now?
So if a child can't regulate their impulses, it doesn't matter if they know what an APR is.
They will still struggle with debt. Then you have the second block. Financial habits and norms. This is about values. How to talk about money at home. Is it a source of stress? Is it a tool? Kids absorb these scripts.
And finally, the third block is the actual financial knowledge and decision-making.
The nuts and bolts. But notice, it comes last. You need that foundation of impulse control and values first.
And what absolutely floored me was the age the Money As You Grow program suggests starting.
Age 3.
3 years old! I mean, my nephew is 3. He eats crayons. How do you teach him finance?
You aren't teaching him about hedge funds. You're teaching him about choice. We can buy this treat now, or we can save the money and buy that bigger toy next week. You're teaching the concept of value and opportunity cost.
So you're building the neural pathways for delayed gratification.
Exactly. By high school, those habits are pretty hardwired. You have to start early.
That connection between the brain and money leads us to something else I saw in the sources, the connection between money and our bodies. We tend to think of finance as math, but the research suggests it's deeply physiological.
The body keeps the score. An APA survey found that 83% of U.S. adults cited inflation as their top stressor.
That's a huge majority.
And 42% say money negatively impacts their mental health. But the sources list actual physical symptoms. We're talking migraines, weakened immune systems, high blood pressure, sleep issues.
So being broke, or even just being stressed about money, literally makes you sick.
It keeps your body in a permanent state of fight or flight. And that cortisol flood shuts down the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that makes good decisions.
Which leads to worse financial decisions, which leads to more stress. It's a doom loop.
Exactly. And this is where we need to introduce a psychological concept called the locus of control.
Oh, I love this concept. It really clicked for me. Break it down.
So if you have an external locus of control, you feel like money is something that happens to you, you feel helpless, the economy is rigged, prices are up, I'm doomed.
And when you feel helpless, you stop trying. Or worse, you spend money just to feel better for a second.
Retail therapy. It gives you a momentary sense of power. But an internal locus of control means you feel agency. You believe your actions influence outcomes.
So, inflation is high, so I need to switch to generic brands or renegotiate my internet bill.
Exactly. Financial literacy is the tool that shifts you from